Welcome to Over Totality. If you're new here, make sure to click that subscribe/add button so it appears on your feed. And if you're returning, welcome to the podcast. I'm Jay, your host for Over Totality. Let's get into the episode. Hold up. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There are certain creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more big platforms. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started and make your podcast. Hey guys, welcome back, and here we are for our first podcast episode on Over Totality. So, first of all, I want to say a couple of things. I don't have a script in front of me at all. I just have a kind of an idea what I want to talk about. And second, I'm not deeply editing the footage. I kind of like the feeling of a podcast where it's very unedited and it's just a one-to-one conversation or a one-to how many ever people listen to this convo. So, I'm very excited to talk about the first episode of the season, and so this particular episode, there's going to be no segments, and I don't have plans for any segments for the first couple of episodes, just because we're kind of getting new into our thing, and just, getting back to the podcasting world after a long time. I have not podcasted in a while, and it's quite interestingly, it's just a little different. From the intro, you guys can probably see that we have kind of like a theme, intro, music, and a sponsorship segment by Anchor again, which is great. So, yeah. But today we're going to be talking about a mixture of stuff. We're going to talk about finals/exams for school. We're also going to talk a little bit more about current events and news articles, so stay tuned for the episode if you want to hear my thoughts on just the stuff that's happening in the world and finals and exams and some other knickknacks in between. So, let's say finals week is pretty much over for everyone. When I'm recording this, I have one last final that I need to take, and then we'll be done with finals in school and just everything in generic for 2 months, or how many ever, time you have for summer break. And it's quite interesting because I have been quite busy with a lot of stuff, and school, I feel like school went fast this year, and maybe it might be from the pandemic, or it might go from just, us being home for so long. And, some people are still quarantining. I know I've quarantined longer than when quarantine was actually stopped, or, let go of. I still quarantined, and it was interesting. Trust me on that. But let me just kind of get right into the final/exam stuff and give some tips and tricks, even though we probably don't need them anymore when this episode premieres, but maybe they might be helpful for next year. Looking at finals, I had a lot of finals, but not all of them were cumulative, and if you don't know what cumulative is, it's basically, a cumulative final is when you get tested over everything you did in the semester, and a non-cumulative or a final is something you don't get tested over the entire semester. So I only had one cumulative final that was for my one of my classes, and the rest classes for English I had to do a paper, and for for science and what else, math was cumulative. I had a math cumulative final, and I think the only other... I had a journalism class I was taking, and I had a project due for that, and I had a project due for science, and then I had a test for history that I had to give, and I have a physical education final that I have to do, which I have not done yet, and I'll be doing, but I'll be done with it by the time you hear this. And then I had Spanish tests, which were just speaking, writing, listening, and reading. So it was it wasn't actually that bad at all. It was kind of interesting, and it was pretty nifty, I guess to say. But it was, the finals week kind of goes by fast. And, sorry, as I was saying, finals week goes pretty quick, and I mean, this year in particular, since we were on a 50-50 schedule, finals week was double. It wasn't finals week, it was finals weeks. Because of 50-50, only half people could take their finals on days, and so it was a mess. And the mess, we don't need to talk about, but it was a mess, and it was very just COVID related. It was a mess because you don't know, like, it was so complicated figuring out, okay, which day am I taking the final, because you get 2 days to go to school in the week, and then you have one of those days, your block rotates, so it was a very confusing process, trust me, but gladly I got through all of them, just left with my gym, and, I had to email my teacher here and there, and I had to really communicate and get stuff there. Like, the last 2 weeks of school, I've probably emailed my teacher more than I have probably for the semester, which is crazy to think about because of the schedule, and we were given the final schedule like 3 weeks prior, and then it changed, so now it was like, so which one am I supposed to go toward? It was confusing, okay? So we kind of were at that vicinity of time, and we kind of made it through, and I got stuff done, and I got a lot of grades back, and we did good on grades, so I am pretty happy with where we are. And it was stressful, but I wouldn't say it was hard this time, because it might have just been either I was focused more, or the tests were just a little easier because of COVID. But I don't have an explanation, but just everything went really fast. It's like time went fast, but my body kind of stayed like slow, and I don't know how to explain it, but just time swooshed like that in thin air, and it was crazy. But some of my tips was definitely contact your teacher and have like a one-to-one convo through email or whatever, just like making sure you have the right date for your final, and ignore that. And make sure you are prepared, or if you need help with something, teachers are there to help. You don't know, but I have literally talked to teachers a lot. Like, I have emails going in and out every day. So it's really helpful. Something else I did to study was I would take, like, how should I say, the app Quizlet, or it's an app and a website. It's complicated, but it's Quizlet. I think everyone heard of it. I've talked about it before. It basically is like, how should I say this? It's like a flashcard app with like different types of ways you can study. Let's just say it's a studying app. So I used, because I'm bad at Spanish. I'm sorry. It's such a beautiful language, and I just wish I could speak it really nicely, and I sometimes cannot do justice with that language because it's so nice. I don't think it's complicated. I think my brain just doesn't work. But for me, Spanish speaking is very hard. Like, that's my tough zone. Everything else is easier for me because I can comprehend it more than speak it. So for me, that was complicating. So I went on Quizlet and I made flashcards she gave us the questions, like, out of these questions, we'll give you 2 questions, and out of these, you have to answer the 2 that I choose, the teacher will choose. And so I put all of the 6, I think there were 6 prompts, and I put all 6 of the prompts in Quizlet, and I typed out what I would say, which isn't good, but just listen. And then I basically would shuffle them, and I would flip, like, I'd get the prompt, I would speak the prompt, and then I would look if I relatively said everything similar. Now, there was some flaws into this, because, when you speak, my grammar has to be correct, and so I can't check my grammar through the flashcard, so that was another strain in my brain. Like, I need to make sure I have my grammar right, so I had to, like, record my, like, self-talking, so I didn't have to worry about it as I was talking, and it was a mess, but I got through it. My grade went fine, so we're good, but it was just all over the place. And for my, like, math final, that was a cumulative final, I did pretty good on that, and the way I studied on that one was, actually, she gave us a study guide. It wasn't a study guide. If you guys know Canvas, it's a instructor app now named as Student. I don't know the history behind it, but it's, she gave us a Canvas quiz that had 40 questions, and the word bank had like over 100 questions, so you get any random 40. and you would answer and you'd kind of practice with those. So those are very helpful for me. Now here was the problem. Here's kind of where everything got sticky. The shapes. Like, the shapes shuffled. So, like, you might have gotten a different shape on the practice than you had to do on the real test or the real final. So I had to, like, remember the formulas for stuff. Luckily, she did provide us formulas, so we were good. But it was also kind of just a little messy. But we got through it, okay? And that's all that matters. Looking at it, though, the week wasn't bad. It went pretty good, and everything just calmly, is finally done with. So we're good on that. But just, time was on a crunch. And I don't know where time went because it was very fast. But yeah, that's my spiel over finals and exams. Now I want to talk a little bit about my documentary. So if you guys follow up with my YouTube channel, Study Center, which is always in like the details / description / podcast notes, whatever you call it, I had a documentary trailer that came out, and it's a factual documentary, and it's a part of a series called Journey with Me, Season 2. Journey with Me was an original series I did, and it had 5 episodes, I believe, and I'm bringing back with Season 2, but it's different. It's not like episodes, it's sets of documentaries. So I'm doing my first documentary. It's a 4-part docu-series over India is primarily the country I chose. By the way, these documentaries can go over countries, culture, religion, or like just however. I was debating between 2 countries. It was either India or South Africa, and it was kind of just on the crunch. I chose India because I was actually learning a lot about it in geography, so I was like, this is a good time because I'll have a lot of information, so I don't have to research a lot, and I'll just have it more together. So I did India, and India, there's 4 parts that got divided into it. So basically, there was 4 parts that we took them into. First was India's origins, which was like, the start of everything. Then it was India's independence, which was India and Pakistan. So like it talks about the independence and the split of the India into India and Pakistan. And then it was post-independence. So this was where the Kashmir, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Kashmir conflict came in. It basically, the battle between India and Pakistan over Kashmir, excuse me, my throat's dry, and to who gets it. So it's kind of like their own imperialism, and technically over I don't know what to call it. Is it like a city, a state, or a country? They say Kashmir is a part of India, but like it's not really. It's confusing to me, but I'll explain it in the documentary. And then the last part was current India, which is the pandemic striking and how that's been, challenging Indians over there. So the docu-series launches on July 2nd, follows by July 9th, July 16th, and July 23rd. So it's every Friday of July until the 23rd. And it's a 4-part docu-series done, and I was very proud of it. I loved the concept of it. I loved me taking a series and I'm completely messing with it. I'm sculpturing it to something else, and it was pretty nice. It was neat, and I really liked it. It was also my first documentary, so like I had to go out for sure. And it was very important for me it has to be factual. I don't want to put politics or opinions into it because a documentary's, primarily supposed to showcase, I guess, like what you're trying to, showcase in your documentary. So it was very important that I kept it factual, and, everything just kind of flows in, it flew in, and it kind of is happening, we've kind of gotten stuff shifting, and it's been working out. That's all I have to say. The next thing I wanted to talk about was my series Geometry, also on my YouTube channel. So, but when you're watching this, I believe there were, let's see, actually, let me look at my calendar. So this is going to come on June 11th, so let's see. Okay. So you'll see 2 episodes of Geometry already out, and the 3rd episode will be coming tomorrow. So it comes on Saturdays, at 9 a.m. Eastern Central Time, and that's when you'll see it come on. And yeah, so Geometry is coming. It's a good series. It's, again, an educational series over math. It's a spin-off over something I did before called Algebra. And yeah, so that's also, I'm just giving a spiel over my YouTube channel right now. I've also done some, just nice videos of reviewing videos, redoing some of my videos, my old videos, of course. And one of the biggest milestones for me, we're, first of all, super close to 100 subscribers. We are 4 subscribers away, I'm pretty sure. So we can get there, hopefully, in some time. And my most popular video is now top 3 reading websites, which hit 3.1k, and this is the first video to even hit 3k. So I thought that was crazy. That time's just going fast, and my content's actually going somewhere. So I'm really happy about that. But yeah, so let's go ahead and talk about some current events. You guys, it's I talked a lot of current events on my previous podcast called Tastic Talks, which had 5 good seasons. Well, it was more like 4 good seasons, and the 5th one was a little but there's so much current events to talk about during the period I was not podcasting. I'm not even joking. I was looking the other day, I was I'm planning on recording Over Totality, the first episode, soon, but, I want to add current events, and I want to see, and there was just so much stuff talking about it, but mind you, when you're recording something earlier, you need to kind of look at the frame of when this is going up, so it looks more natural, and you can't find current events unless they're on that particular day, or, around that time. And mind you, my last podcast episode was on March 19th, and ignore that, oh my god, I should turn my phone off, but it was actually on March 19th, followed by a highlights on March 20th, and then May 6th, I posted, again, just talking about this podcast that's coming out, and a lot of, part of me leaving Tastic Talks for a little bit or forever, I don't really know right now, was just because I wasn't getting nowhere with the content. I had set so many expectations, and while they lasted for a very long time, I just had to take a break and start again. And I really like the concept of just a free podcast, kind of diving into conversations and having fun with you guys, talking about really, the randomest stuff. So, and the primary podcast for this is also productivity, educating and advocating and talking about stuff. It's a very family-friendly podcast. I'll keep it at that for sure. And it's very fun to just listen to and have, especially when you're doing something that requires attention and you just kind of want something to play in the background. This could be the podcast for it. And I had a new setup, actually. So I got a new mic. I have a new system. I have a new desktop that I'm recording this on now, which I like to call my little podcasting test top. Alongside with, I have some theme music for my intros and outros. So I thought that was pretty cool and amazing and just lovely. But yeah, so that's kind of where we were at with that. And I wanted to talk about, what was I going to talk about? I hate when I just forget about stuff I have to talk about. But I was going to talk about something. Yeah, current events. There we go. I've remembered, okay? I don't know how long that would have taken me to remember if I didn't have it pulled right on my laptop. But there was a lot of cool stuff cool and dangerous. It's kind of, interesting. But first of all, NASA says a potentially hazardous asteroid, which could be bigger than the Eiffel Tower, will shoot past Earth next week. So, hopefully, no one's harmed in the process. Let's see, what else? We'll talk about space first. NASA releases stunning new pics of the Milky Way's downtown, which is probably where the most planets are. I don't know. I'm not an expert in astrology. Is that even... Okay. Again, just a quick disclaimer. I'm not a professional at anything that I'm speaking. I'm just kind of doing just some stuff randomly. So keep it at that. And this happened a while ago, but I wanted to kind of touch base on this. Was I want to say it was a historical event that's going to be remembered. But I thought it was quite historical to talk about. But there was a, what was it called? There was a rocket that was launched. This is about like a 3-week thing ago. Like, it's been a while. I want to say, yeah, I think 3 weeks back to Earth. I'm just kind of pulling out the date so I can be very right and not wrong. So, let's see. Lovely. Okay. I know I'm very silent. I apologize. I just have to find the name of something. Okay. I think I got this. So, there was a Chinese rocket that got... to be honest, I'm not 100% sure. There's a lot of theories about this, so I'm going to kind of go from theory to theory. But the first thing they kind of said was that the rocket, there was a rocket that was getting launched from China, and the China, like, space agency, I guess, I'm not sure, something like that was getting launched, and they were sending their own space station is what they were. I think that's what the tools they were, or that's why they flew the rocket ship up there, I think, yeah. And they had a rocket. They say they spent a lot of money, and I assume they do because rockets are expensive, and they made it take off on, I'm not going to give dates because these articles are not correct dates. They might just be the day they published it. But they had, the rocket to go out to space and start, doing it. I don't know if they ran tests. I don't know about that, but that's what it was about. And the rocket's name was March 5B Y2 rocket, and it was a core module that was going to set up the Chinese space station, or China space station, sorry, that's going to create their own space station. And it was going up, and it went out of Earth, but it had a uncontrolled re-entry. So here's where the theories play in. Some people say that it was on purpose. Some people say it was an accident. Some people say, that they should have put a re-entry, like a controlled re-entry. There's a lot of theories, okay? I'm not here to say which theory is true, which is not. These are just theories or whatever, but I'm gonna give facts about it. It came down, and it hit the seas, so this was good. But, what was scary is there was a Harvard graduated astronomer, or astrologist, what do you people call... astronaut, no, I don't know, something, he was in the space field, okay, and he was talking about how you don't particularly need to worry about the debris falling on you, the parts of the rocket, because there's like technically there's a 1 in like 8 billion chance. Now I think that's how much our population is, population of world. I thought we're 7, no, this is 2019 though. We're, 7.8 billion, almost reaching that, part. But, there's a 1 in 7.5 billion chance that you're gonna get hit by this rocket. But then you have to look at more odds, because there's 70% of ocean, so it's like your odds of hitting you particularly is crazy low. And then they said that there was the odds of hitting someone was not high, but it was not like low enough for them to think it was risk-free. You think that 30% of the area or world isn't where really people live, and the other 70% is just water. It's not a big of a deal. But the astronomer was interviewed, and he was talking about that it was a uncomfortable amount of percentage that it could hit on someone. Luckily, it did not hit. It hit in the ocean. Now, they released also an article about how it hit in some African houses in Africa. Particularly, I think it said South Africa, I'm not sure, but they were saying something about that. I'm not sure how liable that is. I did not hear it on multiple news channels, because I would assume it would go on local news and on international news, national news, but it was not, so I don't know how much truth that is, but that's what happened. And, it's a historical event in my opinion, because the last time this happened, an uncontrollable re-entry, was when it was, America's first space station, which was called, it was parts of Skylab, and it was launched in 1973 to be the first, world's successful space station, and some of the parts came crashing down into Australia and into the Indian Ocean 5 years after, which kind of, ended the Skylab. So no one was injured, thankfully, but that's what happened. So, I mean, having it, in a span, it's not a common thing, and thank God it's not a common thing, because I would not like to see debris falling off through my window as I'm drinking coffee or something in the morning. So, it's very rare to have a uncontrollable entry. But, I mean, the odds of them are kind of growing, in my opinion, because it's like, just thinking about it, how much can this, how much can this harm Earth? You think about one impact on the world, and you're like, okay, that's, not, if I jump, for instance, on planet Earth, right? If I just jump, on the ground, it's not going to impact the world at all, okay? It might not, the best it can impact will probably be under me, whatever's under me. But I think what I'm trying to say is, imagine everyone on the planet jumping. There's going to be an impact, because you have, tons and tons and probably at least billions of tons of people that are jumping, right? And so that's going to cause, an impact. So my analogy was here that, if that's something that can happen with people, what if, debris, starts falling every day? It's kind of progressing if you look at it from a further picture. And so what would that impact be like on Earth? Considering the fact that, Earth is already not the most eco-friendly environment, and hopefully we can fix that and just live it better. But, what it is. I'm not going to talk too much about that. But I think I want to wrap it off with just me saying thank you so much for watching the first episode, and I'll have an outro that plays in a second after I'm done speaking, but I just wanted to say that, this is how the style is going to be for the podcast. I think it'll be pretty fun. There's probably most likely longer episodes, as you can tell by this one. They'll probably stay somewhere like this, and it's just me talking to you guys and just having a nice time on, just explaining topics and talking, and I hope you guys enjoy it. And I also wanted to quickly just bring out to talk a quick minute about my old podcast, which was Tastic Talks. Many might know this is kind of like a new start for me, so I do know how to podcast, but I'm kind of starting back from first square. I'm not going to have scripts. I don't plan on having scripts. I feel like those, make more work, and I can have it naturally flow and just be as fine. So, yeah. Also, the podcast is still not available on all platforms, and the reason was that because I don't have a full episode out yet. So, once this episode out, hopefully it will get everywhere. It just takes, they need, a full episode they can see, so that's that. But, yeah, that's about that. I don't think I have anything else to say about. Alright guys, I hope you had a nice episode for today. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you go and check out my socials on Instagram and Twitter at Only Study Center, as well as the official Twitter or Instagram handle for this podcast, Over Totality. While you're there, make sure you check out my YouTube channel as well, which has a lot of great content offering for you guys. And stay safe, have fun, and just enjoy life to the fullest. I'll see you guys next time for a new episode of Over Totality. Goodbye.